prosecutor, and it was my job to show up every single day and do what I was charged to do. I have since left private practice. 6.5 weeks ago, I joined the Caroline County Commonwealth's office, and I am their Deputy Commonwealth's Attorney, and I've been there now for 6.5 weeks. In that 6.5 weeks, I've already seized my first firearm. It doesn't take long to do your job if you show up every day and you look into your cases. That being said, I've been asked to talk about what makes me different or how I plan on solving some of the problems here in Henrico County. I don't think that we've lost Henrico County. I think that we have a little bit of blinders on, and maybe we still have those masks from 2020 still on. But I think that we can win it back. And the reason why I believe this is because Heidi and I and Elena have spent a lot of time door knocking on the west end of Henrico, and specifically my old neighborhood. I lived in Wyndham. I spent, I think, 11 years there. It was my daughter's most formidable home, the home that she grew up in, not the home that she was born in, not the home that she lived her first couple of years, but her formidable years were in Wyndham. What I will tell you is, knocking on the doors, it surprised me that there are ring cameras and security systems throughout that entire neighborhood. When I moved there, we didn't have that. As a matter of fact, we didn't even think about having to lock our doors because it wasn't an issue, but it's an issue today. Now, what's changed in the last 17 years or the last 12 years? Well, in the last 12 years, what's changed is Shannon Dillon has been your Commonwealth's attorney, and that is a problem. And what I want you all to think about is why is it a problem that the Commonwealth's attorney's offices are Democrat or Republican? George Soros, about 8-9 years ago, made a promise that he was going to take over law enforcement and the judiciary. And systematically, he has changed the entire nation. Why? Because we have Democrat state attorneys, we have Democrat district attorneys, and we have Democrat Commonwealth attorneys. And what do they all have in common? They have an enormous amount of crime that is on the rise. Why did he want those positions? I'm going to tell you why. Riley, David, Siobhan, it's not to take anything away from you, but the person who has the most power in Henrico County is Shannon Taylor.
Yes.
She determines what cases will be prosecuted. She determines what cases will be non-pros, dismissed, reduced. She makes that ultimate decision. It is her office, and there is absolutely no oversight. None. So you wonder why we're prosecuting police officers when judges are saying these cases shouldn't be here. It's because Shannon Taylor doesn't like law enforcement. That's why. And by the way, the last 2 cases she prosecuted, she lost. The most recent one didn't even make it to the jury because Judge Ellis made it crystal clear on the record that this case didn't have the evidence, but Ms. Taylor wants his or her badges. Folks, I love law enforcement. I have the endorsement, not only of the FOP in Henrico County, but of our Attorney General. I dated a cop for years and years and years, almost married a cop, didn't, but almost did. But at the end of the day, what they do for a living is incredibly difficult, and it is getting more and more difficult every single day. We are listening and we are inundated with the news of how bad they are and how rogue they are and how this and how that. We have bad policemen, we have bad lawyers, we have bad doctors. That doesn't taint the entire bushel. I know that they say it does, but one is not going to taint the entire bushel. Henrico County has one of the strongest police departments I have ever seen. They are well trained, they are very diligent, and they are very committed to the citizens of Henrico County. Without them, we are not going to be safe. But they have been emasculated by that office, and they don't want to continue to feel that way. When they bring their cases to the Commonwealth's office, it is the Commonwealth's office to bring the charges, it is the Commonwealth's office to prosecute those cases. Win, lose, or draw, you as a citizen, a victim of crime, have a right to your day in court. That is your right. That is what you pay for. And your taxes pay their salaries, so they answer to you. That is the problem, because they're not answering to you. They're telling you to just sit back and keep quiet and let me do my job, but she's not doing her job. 8 years ago, I tried to be the Republican nominee for the Commonwealth's office. I was not successful, but 8 years ago, I brought to attention one of the biggest issues that I saw plaguing Henrico County. I spent 16 and a half years in the juvenile courts as a defense attorney and as a prosecutor, and I will tell you the one thing that we need to do is start focusing on our children. We talk about our education and we talk about our parents, but what we're not talking about is what are we doing when our kids are starting to derail. And our kids are derailing at an exceptional rate. And I don't think that the pandemic helped, but I don't think that it's the only cause. We have failed our children. Not only the criminal justice system, law enforcement, teachers, principals, counselors, but we as parents have failed our children because we have turned our back on what is most important, which is creating a foundation within our own homes that makes it safe, which gives them a safe place for them to be and a safe place for them to have a conversation. And then when they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, we as parents have always turned to somebody else. Well, it's the teachers. Oh, it's the law enforcement. Oh, it's the judiciary. No, it's not. It's us. And the only way we're going to change this, because you can't look to law enforcement, and we certainly can't look to the Commonwealth's office to fix this. We can be a tool, but we can't fix it. 8 years ago, I went to the judiciary and the juvenile court and said, I want to create a coalition to get to these little kids a heck of a lot faster. We know where the kids are failing. We know where the kids are struggling, and we know how to identify them. We know this because they start school at 3 and 4 years old. So if we know that they're starting school at 3 and 4, why aren't we talking to the principals or the daycare centers or the teachers or the counselors or the babysitters? Why aren't we reaching out to these folks to find out what kids need help? Because that's what we could do. Then what we could do with that coalition is create a quasi-docket, if you want to say, of professionals that are identifying each individual's issues, each child's issues, and working to formulate a program so that this kid doesn't end up falling through the cracks. Because that kid who falls through the cracks is going to be that kid who's going to have a CHINS petition at 8. That kid who falls through the crack is going to be that kid who starts smoking marijuana with his 16-year-old friends because nobody's at home taking care of him. And then that 16-year-old kid is going to be the kid who finds the gun and robs the neighbor. We can stop this. We can. But we got to start a heck of a lot younger. We have testing capabilities. We have, coming from Caroline to Henrico County, we have resources that are unmatched. Well, maybe Northern Virginia has more, but not much. We have the capabilities of getting to these kids, and if we get to these kids at a much younger age, if we stop them from derailing, we make sure that they stay in school, that they're occupied, that they're not doing anything improper or immoral, then maybe they don't matriculate into the adult system. And what does that mean? They don't matriculate into the adult system, then our idea of overcrowded prisons, which was one of the other reasons why they let everybody out and wanted all those woke prosecutors, is to release people early. You won't have overcrowding because they're not matriculating into the adult system. Well, if they're not matriculating into the adult system, then our crime rates clearly have gone down. I would love to stand here and tell you that I'm going to be able to solve everybody's problems. What I will promise you is this. I've spent 23 years, every single day, in a courthouse. I work from 8 o'clock in the morning until at least 5 o'clock at night. My daughter's here to tell you that her entire childhood, I worked 17-hour days. My job is incredibly important to me. I have put my job above my kids, which is why today I'm not doing it. My daughter goes back to University of Tennessee on Tuesday. She found out that I wasn't working today, and I'm going to spend time with my daughter. But I spent 17 years caring about this county. I showed up every single day. I have it on good authority because I have a few friends in the clerk's office, Heidi Barshinger to be one of them, who keeps tabs on Miss Taylor. And I will tell you this, you're lucky if she shows up for work one day a week. One day a week. And I will also tell you this, I watched her the sentencing argument in the Lucia Brummer case. Not only was I appalled by her arguments, but I was also appalled in the fact that she stood in front of everybody and said that she cared about the juvenile courts and she cared about justice. She wasn't there. That case went on for years. And I watched the motions and I watched the family in and out, both families. Because that case tore up two families, not just one, two. But at the end of the day, she's there for a photo op. She's there to say that she's gonna do a lot, and she has yet to do anything. She hasn't done anything for the west end of Henrico County, and she certainly hasn't done anything for the east end of the county. And I will tell you this is not an east or a west end county issue. This is a county-wide issue, and it is high time that we as Henrico citizens start recognizing that the east and west are no different. No different. We all have the same exact issues. We have gun issues, we have crime issues, we have children issues, we have school issues. And we are all exactly the same. But if we don't start working as a team, if we don't start building those relationships, then we're going to continue to see a severe rise in crime. And I'll give you the statistics. Just so you guys are fully aware of what is actually going on in your county. As of June the 21st of 2023, we had 11 homicides. By the way, it is now August. We have had several more. We had 11 armed robberies. 3 were in Freetown, 3 were in Verina, 3 were in Brooklyn, and 2 were in Fairfield. And this is as of June 21st, January 1st to June 21st. The most scary ones are the 9 forcible residential burglaries, and then the 16 forcible rapes. And the reason why I think those statistics are scary is because not a single person in this room, I'm sure, heard of any of them. And that is part of the problem. Unless you're willing to do your research, you're not gonna know what's going on in your own community. In the neighborhood of Henley, in February of this year, there was a break-in.
Yes.
It was a home invasion where a young woman was cooking dinner with her children, and 3 men kicked in her basement door during dinner time and came into her home. I don't know about anybody here, but that would terrify me. That would terrify me. And you didn't hear anything about it. And when you hear about the crime in Henrico County, what they tell you is addresses. So it forces you to have to go look it up. They don't tell you that it was at Short Pump Mall. They don't want you to know it's at Short Pump Mall because they don't want you to be afraid to go shopping there. They don't want to tell you there's a home invasion right behind your house because they don't want you to be afraid to go home. They want you to go ahead and continue to behave as if nothing is going on. Ladies and gentlemen, the statistics aren't lying. Our homicide rate is up 76% in a 5-year span. 76%. 30 homicides last year. I've been a defense attorney and a prosecutor here for 17 years. I have never seen anything like this. When I left private practice, I had 7 homicides on my docket. And I'm but one lawyer. This is what we are combating. I will promise you this. I care about this county. My kids live in this county. My friends' kids live in this county. They go to school in this county. They played sports. They played in the parks. They need to feel safe. I don't want them to lose Halloween or riding their bikes or going to the mall. I want them to feel safe, and I want you to feel safe, that you don't have to worry that your kid is down the road and you don't have full access to them. I want to go back to when I was a little girl, and we would leave the house at 7 o'clock in the morning. We would come home and get a sandwich, but not allowed to come in because we were gross. Drink from the water hose. And when we were allowed to come home, it was at nighttime because dinner was on the table. That's what I want. for Henrico County. I want to be your prosecutor because I want to prosecute the bad guys.
Yes. Very nice.